Hi guys, welcome back to For You. I'm Tim,
I'm Adam.
and this week we've got a very special guest. We have got
Very special.
Gary Prout CGC.
Whoop,
Hello, Gary.
whoop.
How are you?
Hello guys, how's it going? Just to say you haven't interrupted my back nine. I've currently got really bad COVID hair, hence the baseball cap. So
To be honest, I
yeah,
thought it was
no
I thought
interruptions.
it was Ernie Els on the call. I thought, yeah, wow, famous golfer's joined us.
I'm glad you said Ernie and not John Daly, you know.
I don't know who
I could have
Ping
got
are, but
either.
they're getting
I
some
could have
great
got
free
either.
advertising. How are you, Gary? You're a bit of a superstar on our channel. You've got almost 3,000 views on our channel from your video that went live back in May. How have you been since then?
Yeah, it's been overwhelming, the response. I've had lots of both public and personal messages from people whose lives it's impacted to some degree. Some people who it just made them think a little bit, differently about what they're doing under lockdown. Other people who could really relate to the story and really take away some learnings that I had and try to implement them themselves. So it's been overwhelming. It's been as rewarding for me, I think, as it has for anybody watching the actual video themselves.
Well, it was an awesome video, and if you haven't seen it yet, it was how you were decorated for gallantry, but you almost lost everything. So, very quickly, talk us about how you almost lost everything, and when you say everything, how you meant absolutely everything.
Yeah, so I basically went from being this person with a huge status in the military, really highly decorated, to up a hill in Scotland. And over the course of probably what was 1 second, my leg broke underneath me. I'd done a lot of soft tissue damage, a lot of hard damage as well. And over the course of the next 12 weeks, I realized that I'd done irreparable damage. I was going to be on prescription medication for the rest of my life. There was potential amputation, and basically life as I knew it had completely gone. And from being somebody who was always about driving, always about getting to the next thing, always about pushing myself, I no longer recognize myself. And for want of a better term, I just describe myself as an absolute victim. And I was just sitting on the sofa, I was watching TV, I was waiting for my army pension, and I was such a different person that I almost lost everything, and I would class that as my wife and what I now have as the family. Just from being such a different person to the person I was before the injury.
It's unbelievable, like that happened after everything that you went through, because your CGC, which is that's very highly commanded, isn't it?
For
Yeah,
those of
so
us that
I think
obviously don't know, we just say it's very high. Very,
Yeah.
very high.
Talk to CGC. It sounds like so easy, but in layman's terms, what is CGC?
so. If you ask my military friends, they say it means can't get caught. And they were basically saying I could do anything in the military and just get away with it. But yeah, in military terms, I suppose there's only been 56 of us that's on record having received it. The most recent person to receive it was the Special Air Service soldier who went in and rescued all of those civilians in the hotel attack in Kenya. So that kind of indicates how serious an award it is, and it's actually at the level where the Queen decides is this appropriate for the level of recognition. And the amazing thing was there I was, that really high status soldier, and whenever I became a victim, I had no idea. In my head, I was just carrying on being the same person, but everybody around me, they could all see this complete difference. And nobody wanted to say it. They were all kind of thinking he'll get over it, he'll get to a point. And I kind of wish that they had just grabbed a hold of me and shook me and said, what are you doing?
Mm.
You need to start thinking about who you really are and what impact this is having on you, and what do you need to do to be you.
And what impact did it have on you? I mean, you've gone like from a real peak to a real trough there. What was that like for you personally?
One of the things I struggled with most was expectations of the person I was before. And I can remember this real defining moment where I said to myself, this is my last ever night in uniform. And tomorrow, whenever I put on my civilian clothes, that's it. The military uniform's gone. I need to be somebody different. So it was almost that looking back and expecting things to be as they were. And it's something that I'm actually catching myself doing now. I'm looking back at life before COVID, and I'm no longer thinking, I can't wait to get back to what things were before. Already I'm thinking to myself, you know what, let's just hit the future with an open mind. Let's just see where it takes us. And you know what, there's going to be plenty to enjoy no matter where we go to after this little spell of uncertainty.
I think it's worth remembering. It is a little spell of uncertainty, isn't it, Adam? It's not forever. This, although it feels like it has been going on forever, this hopefully at some point, well, it has to come to an end at some point, whatever that new norm looks like. Have you taken anything, Gary, from that experience and applied it to like what's happened over the last few months?
So actually, my awareness of others, how others are coping, their behaviors, the symptoms, the signs that I'm seeing from them, and just reminding them, you know what, it's going to be okay. Just reassuring and reinforcing them, because a lot of the things that I'm now aware I was doing, I'm seeing it from other people. So it is just that dialing it back. And the other thing that I took away in the past was the things I could control. That's what I focused on. Those were the things that really took me forward. So now whenever I'm looking at things and challenges from COVID, anything that I can't control, I'm just taking it to one side and parking it. You know what, we're all in this position where COVID's having such an impact on all of us, and we can't do anything about it. But what we can do is we can have an impact on our attitudes, our beliefs, our behaviors, and we can use those to drive us forward whenever we come to the next step. So it's just that thing. And you know what, I'm finding that things in the small little world are just as normal as they used to be. I can take my girls out into the back garden. You know, we can have a lovely picnic in the back out by the trampoline. You know, they can jump around. You know, yeah. In those moments, you have no awareness that there's any COVID going on. And I think those are absolutely vital. The more we can take ourselves away from that doom and gloom and the constant nagging at ourselves, I think the more healthier it leads us to be. So quite often I'm putting the phone off to one side. I'm just going out and chilling out with the kids and trying to lead as normal a little life as possible.
Yeah, a lot say similar, hasn't it, Gary? I mean, a bit of a question from me. Have your jokes got any better, or are they still as bad as they ever were?
They can't be as bad as Adam's.
I just want to double check, Gary. I've known Gary for a while, and there's always time for change. And if there was any change that was needed, it was his jokes. So, any update on that, Gary? Any progression?
Yeah, I was so happy whenever it became apparent, because the whole thing of dad jokes suddenly fitted in, you know. but I've had nobody to tell jokes to. That's one thing actually. I've been very lonely. I'm quite used to being on my own and thought I was all right with it, but I've really been lonely. I've got the kids around me, and it's amazing to have them. It's still not quite the same. So as the lockdown has eased a little bit, I've had a few golf games with my cousin who lives locally. You know, I've been trying to get out and to meet friends and stuff like that there, you know, in the most appropriate way. But yeah, it's jokes are still as bad as ever, and ones over and over again.
I've got a bone to pick with Gary, and it was a very quick story because I've got lots of questions for you, Gary. I once worked with a football team for, I think, the best part of 4 years, Tim. Right. Gary came in to give them a talk 1 year before they went off to a European Championships, and one of the girls in the team came up to me after and said, "Adam, that was the best thing you've ever done." So the best thing I did in the whole 4 years of working with them was bringing Gary in to give them a talk. I thought, thank you. 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears. Gary steals the show in an hour. No, but I think there's definitely huge merit in that. If anyone hasn't listened to Gary speak, go on to our channel, watch his videos. He shares so many lessons. He's such an inspirational guy, and such a lovely guy as well. So go watch his video. It's absolutely amazing. And you're an amazing person, Gary. I hope you know that. Gary,
feel the love.
Great guy. I got a few questions for you. So I suppose what I recognised was last week was National Armed Forces Day. I'm just wondering what kind of emotions that brings up for you. I recognise seeing a lot on my LinkedIn, a lot on my Twitter account. I'm wondering kind of, what emotions and what happens for you on days like that.
Yeah, for me, it's a really healthy moment of reflection. I put up a picture of me and my brother, And it was a huge moment of pride whenever I counted up the years of service. And just in our one generation, we've got over 40 years of service. So my brother's obviously done quite a bit more than me. But for me, it's that kind of culture, that identity, you know, that sense of belonging. I know it's a big catchword for the armed forces at the minute, but it's something hugely proud of. There's no moment that I look back on in the military and think, oh man, you know, I kind of wish that didn't happen. It's all this thing about just being on this amazing journey, and it making me the person I am today. So amazing. And then I suppose on Remembrance Day, I rarely post up any pictures of myself on Remembrance Day, because for me that's about others. So Armed Forces Day is about us, what we did in service, and then Remembrance Day is about reflecting and thinking about, you know, some of the people who didn't come home. So it's a real two different kind of strands of the same story, if that makes sense, mate.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's amazing to see all the stuff on social media, and absolutely well deserved as well. I think there should be more celebration of everyone in the armed forces. Sorry, Gary.
I would love to see a frontline workers one going forward, because you know, I love the fact that we have parades and stuff like that to celebrate the armed forces. But you know what, in times of crisis, you know, our emergency services have stepped up at the minute. You know, everything from teachers, you know, to people doing jobs, you know, I don't think plumbers, electricians, you know, they're getting the same kind of level of recognition, yet they are the people who have kept Britain going over these last few months. And I kind of hope that there is this recognition even after COVID, you know, just this one day where we take a little bit of time and pay some respect to those who have done an outstanding job in this period.
Well, Gary, you know the Queen, so is there any chance that you making this happen?
Well, I don't know if you'd recognise me now. Last time I was a few stone lighter, but yeah.
You made a bit more of an appearance for the Queen than you did Tim and I. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, so yeah, I gave that one actually.
I've just got the vision of Gary going in and just being like, "Yo, Queenie!" fist bump.
Yeah, I think he's got that in his locker. Gary, I completely agree, and let's hope something like that happens, and we celebrate all those unsung heroes out there, as we have done really well, I think, during COVID-19. I'm just really interested because I suppose I'm not sure if actually seeing on TV promotions to join the army, to join the Navy, join the armed forces. I'm wondering what, if any, advice you would be giving to people thinking about a career path in the armed forces.
So I would absolutely recommend to watch my story. It's one of the reasons that I went and talked to new recruits. The reason I point them in the direction of my story is I want to give them the reality of it. I would never dissuade anybody from joining. If anything, I would absolutely encourage people to join, because I believe it's a real foundation into who you are as you become an adult. Potentially, you know, at that kind of age, it also gives people the ability to change their lives, to change their ways. And I think that's one of the things about the armed forces, which is incredible. It doesn't really judge people on what they've done up to that point. They're willing to take anybody and allow them to change in that place. The only thing I would say is if you think it's going to be amazing all day, every day, it's probably not the right job for you. If you think it's like it is in the movies, it's probably not going to be the right job for you. I think there is this healthy kind of balance of this is the realities, but you know what, it's also got its good times as well. And yeah, just empower people with knowledge and let them make that decision for themselves. I've actually got family members still serving. I've got a nephew who's very keen to join it, and I've never turned around to any of them and said, don't do it. I'm always like, yeah, absolutely. But this is what I experienced, and this is what could happen to you.
Great, thanks, Gary. And one more from me. I think, knowing you, I've known you in the business world, and you've transferred over. And can I just say, fantastic marketing skills there. If you want to know more, go watch my story, get my views up. I did enjoy that. That's very well played. You've learned from Tim, but thank you. But you have, I think, from working with you over, must have been the best part of the last 4 years, Gary. You've made the transfer. It's probably not the right word, but you've made the shift from obviously the armed forces to now the corporate world. I'm just wondering, what are some of the transferable skills that you think you learn or you developed in the armed forces that have helped you land well within the corporate world and make a successful next career for yourself?
So I was actually reflecting on this the other day, mate, and completely unrelated to this year. I can remember the first time I wrote a CV whenever I was transferring out of the military, and I was writing all of my skills and qualifications, and it was things like mountain leader, you know, skill at
Yeah.
arms instructor, you know, and it was all of these military qualifications. And I can remember just sitting there thinking, what use am I in Civvy Street? All of these things that I've done in the military, they're no longer applicable. And I wrote out a few CVs, and it wasn't until that I got into my first business, and I was sitting with, I believe it was Rachel Tompkins from Jaguar Land Rover. I'm going to shout her name out because she was incredible. And we had this discussion about my skills, and whenever we were breaking them down, we were realizing that actually me being good at my job in the military, it wasn't because I was good at those things naturally, it was because I had skills that made me good at them. And it was things like whenever I went and done my first forward observer course, you know, there was mathematics, you know, trigonometry, all of these different things on it. I had to learn a new language. All of those things I was rubbish at in school. But you know what? I had this real compelling need to do it in the artillery, because if I didn't do it, people would be in danger. And one of my big values is care. So I cared so much about this here that I became good at it. So I just studied all the hours that I had. You know, every moment I had, I was just applying myself. And I wasn't naturally good at it, but because I cared so much, I became good at it. And I actually ended up, you know, finishing top student on a lot of my courses. And whenever I turned up at Jaguar Land Rover, I was setting up this massive event, and I wasn't naturally good at it. It was project management. It was lots of spreadsheets, but I cared about it going well because it was my buddy, Rachel, whose neck was on the line. So you know what? I made up for it with time. And it was just that realization that nobody's born with military skills. And quite often whenever we're leaving the military, we think that's all the skills we have. No. What skills was it you had that actually make you good at being as good as you are in the military and transferring them across? So for me, it's all about forgetting about the detail of the things that I was good at in the military. It's what made me good at being good at in the military. That was the big light bulb moment for me.
Great advice, Gary. Great advice for anyone, both moving from armed forces to corporate world, but from any career transition or progression. Just remembering what I suppose the skills and qualities are that underpin your success, not necessarily the actual achievements or the certificates you've got. Thanks, Gary.
I think that's
Absolutely.
very poignant now, you know, as we go through COVID and potentially come out the end of COVID, the world is going to be a very different place.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be some people out there who have got job uncertainty. There's going to be people out there whose jobs have changed, and there's just change in the way that we know the world, or how we knew the world anyway. So yeah, great advice there, Gary. I want to touch back on one of the things that you said earlier, Gary, which was about inspiration. And there's somebody on our channel who inspired you, Kira, who hopefully you're going to be doing a video with soon, we hope.
Yeah, we just need to get the diaries to align. Me juggling the two kids is causing a bit of a but yeah, no, what an impactful moment. I sat down, I watched her video, and the feeling I got from everybody was, wow, we didn't understand how close your two stories actually aligned. And believe it or not, one of the first things I did after I watched it was I turned around to my wife and I said, you need to sit down, you need to watch this story. We need to have a discussion afterwards. So my wife sat down and watched it, and it made us realize that you know, we spent 2.5 years trying to recover with this leg, you know, trying to get to a place where we feel that we could carry on with life. And we pretty much just stalled since then. Everything has been about management rather than trying to make it better. That's last thing I had done was my spinal surgery. And watching Kira's video, it's almost made me think along the lines of, so you know what if I was to get an amputation done? You know, what if I was to start seeing what else, you know, the surgeons can do, the doctors can do now, because it's been such a long period. You know, there might have been quite a few good advances, and it's led us to the point now where we're going to go and explore that once the whole COVID thing contracts. But the things, it's amazing. The simple things I'm looking at is my daughter just got a little pushback, and you know, it would be amazing just to run along beside her and, you know, hold on to her hood or something along those lines. And there's a risk that it could turn bad, but I'm sitting here reflecting on it, and I'm thinking, so how much different would my life be now? If it did go wrong, and I've just got an amputation, and probably not all that different. So she's given me a bit of a kick up the backside. She's challenged my thought process, and it's gonna lead me to have some strong discussions about changing my life, and possibly even to the point where I am changing my life. So yeah, like I said earlier on, it's this channel's been as rewarding for me as I think I put into it, if that makes sense.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Gary. And hopefully we'll hear more on that when you do your video with Kira. Coming up, obviously, we do have
He may even shave for that one, Tim. May even shave for that one.
He might.
Not for us, but maybe for Kira.
I also want to make it very clear at this stage that the For You channel does not, under any circumstance, implore you to have limbs removed. Okay? But if you do want to watch either Kira or Gary's videos, they are linked in the description below. Sorry, Gary, you were going to say.
Tim, I've seen your car videos. If your suspension was broken, would you leave it broken, or would you replace it?
Gary, okay. This isn't free car advice, okay?
So there's a video coming up, Gary. I'm going to do a free plug now. There is a video coming up where I take one of my cars all the way down to Wales for some work because it is broken, and you can see that video on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/our Tim. That's also linked below. Have you got a YouTube, Adam? Do you?
No, but I've got a steak pie in the oven, and you two need to stop talking about cars.
Right, well, let's talk about very quickly what's coming up on the channel this week. I have linking into cars this week. I've been all the way up to Liverpool, which was a hell of a long journey. It was about 4 hours. It was 4 hours in a car with no air conditioning, and it was 33 degrees, and that was 4 hours there and 4 hours back. Which is why I'm so slim. I sweat it all out. So we've got a fantastic interview coming up with BAC. We've also got videos coming from Lego. Phoebe's going to be sending us a video as well. Rick, if you haven't seen any of Rick's videos, he does these fantastic meditation videos. He's doing one for us as well. And we're going to be finding out about life in Bulgaria as well. Now, Adam, little thing. You've gone very dark in that little corner. We've got like a little bit of darkness in the corner there. Wait for it.
And in the dark, there shall be light.
Look at that. Perfect. So
I just wanted my mood was dark, but now listening to Gary, it's gone light again. That was the analogy we were going for. So
I like the fact that we're also wearing contrasting colours this week, Adam. You are black, I am white.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of your haircut. I like it longer, bit curled to the side. But I'm not going to be judgmental this week.
Okay, so
I've been told off for being nasty.
You have been told off. The last thing we're going to do on this video, we all want to see what is underneath the black hat. Gary, come on, show us your hair.
I was going to say, what are you taking off?
Just look.
That's not bad, Gary. Actually, that is pretty bad. It's a bit One Direction. He's got a bit of Niall Horan about him.
It has.
You've below the eyes.
It has. You look about 10 years younger now, Gary. Keep it long.
Tim, we've got to have to wrap it. It's just frustrating me. He wouldn't have this appearance going to see the Queen. Yeah, he thinks it's acceptable on our show. I mean, come on, let's get him off.
Right, that's it. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. As always, there's loads more content coming up, so please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to share your content with us, reach out to us. It's contactforYouProject@gmail.com. That's contactforYouProject@gmail.com. Until next week, thank you very much for watching. And of course, stay safe.